Today, our guest speaker is Nicole Robbins, and I think she's as nervous as me. Nicole earned her Master of Spiritual Psychology with an emphasis in consciousness, health, and healing from the University of Santa Monica. Shortly after, she found a home at the Center for Spiritual Living in Granada Hills, where she became a staff minister in the fall of 2020. She continues to expand her spirituality, having completed the Sacred Art of Living and Dying program, as well as the Anamkara apprenticeship program in Bend, Oregon. She volunteers for the Freedom to Choose project, which runs workshops for incarcerated individuals, assisting them with self-forgiveness, releasing judgment, and positive communication skills. Nicole is inspired to enjoy the preciousness of life based on her extensive personal experiences with death and the tragic aftermath of suicide. Nicole is on the board of directors at CSL Granite Hills, right? Where it just says DH here, where she also enjoys teaching classes at the center. Nicole also runs a very successful tennis academy. She enjoys working out, skiing, and martial arts in her free time. Please join me in welcoming Nicole Robbins.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Yes, I'm a little nervous as I haven't spoken in front of a real crowd in almost 2 years. And so here I am. Thank you for inviting me to your beautiful, beautiful center. So today, July 11th, is 7-Eleven Day. And my inner child always gets really excited thinking about a free Slurpee. And I noticed when I was driving up here, there's a 7-Eleven over on Apple Valley Road and this main street here. But I have some insider information for you. They're doing it every day in July. So you just have to sign up for their loyalty program and you can get a free Slurpee every day in July. How wonderful is that? Oh, I guess if I hold the mic closer, you can actually hear me. So today our topic is following the CSL Global Vision, and it is your commitment greater than your resistance? So I looked up resistance in Google, because no one uses a dictionary anymore, and it says the ability to not be affected by a situation, such as, especially adversely. And I'm like, what is a situation? There's so many things. There is fear of speaking in public, there is limiting beliefs, there is being vulnerable, there is someone told me something and I actually, like a doctor said something to me. Is there anything, what else is there? What else can affect our thinking to our commitment to our goal? There is a fear of failure. There is so many different things. Does someone have something that comes to their mind when they think of, I want to do my commitment, but something's stopping me? Anything? What's that? Myself, my thought patterns, my fear of success, yes, that's a huge one. What if I'm successful and then what happens? At my center, I'm teaching practical mysticism right now, and we're using books by Carolyn Mace and Joel Goldstein. And there's so much wisdom in these books that my students might think I'm teaching it for them, but in reality, I'm teaching this class for myself because I'm just getting more and more wisdom and just really learning that we are spiritual beings living in a spiritual universe and we can create our reality. It's really up to us. It's really up to our thought patterns. And when I'm teaching my class, I do a lot of rat-a-tat-tat. That voice in your head that keeps knocking, telling you can't do it or telling you what happens if this goes wrong. And that rat-a-tat-tat, I say the tat, thoughts are things. So how are we going to talk to that tat? When that rat-a-tat-tat starts going, am I going to let those thoughts go to the negative? Or am I going to step into the positive and change that little voice in my head? So, tat-a-tat-tat. Every time that voice goes in, you start hearing it, that story keeps rewinding, and you keep playing it over and over again. Oh, wait a second, stop, breathe, tap. Thoughts are things. What am I going to tell myself? How can I change the story around? I made this commitment. How am I going to change it and go down that different road? It's really up to us as spiritual beings. So, as Katrina says, I am a tennis coach. And when the pandemic hit, I was laid off for 2 months because we couldn't work. And which was great, which was a blessing in disguise because I was taking my ministerial exams and I was part of the Divine Nine that graduated in the middle of the pandemic. So we didn't get a big celebration. We just kind of graduated and then life went on. And we didn't have church services. We just had a Zoom church. We had our YouTube church services and I taught some classes. But after going from every weekend at the church to not being there, it kind of like felt like, wow, I did all this time to become a minister, and yet I haven't done anything in the last 17 months. Like I said, here I am talking for the first time in front of people. And so I just kind of went on with my tennis business. Tennis was the only thing we were able to do during the pandemic. And I was working 8 to 10 hours. Just everyone wanted to play tennis. It was outdoors, socially distanced. It was the perfect sports to keep people busy during the pandemic. Well, what happened is that my ministerial path just kind of disappeared a little bit. I was still going to the YouTube and attending our Zoom fellowships, teaching my one class, but this dream to come up and talk to people and inspire people kind of went on the wayside. So one day I was picking up balls and this thought entered my head. What can I do to get back on that path? Because my commitment was I wanted to become a minister, inspire people, and here I am picking up tennis balls. So I would go home after work completely exhausted. I work in the San Fernando Valley where the temperature is not quite as hot as Apple Valley, but pretty warm out there in the valley. And I would just lay on my couch without even enough energy to watch a movie, so I flipped through TikTok. Has anyone gone through TikTok? It's 27-second videos. That's about what my attention span was TikTok. So as I'm picking up these balls, I'm thinking, maybe I can do a TikTok, like spiritual TikTok, and I can read inspirational messages. You thought that too, right? I know, right? And then as I'm picking up, what else can I do to build my ministry? I really need to get back on the path of my ministry. What can I do? And then, I don't know if it was later that day or the next day, I got a message from our head minister, and he said, would you like to talk on Sunday? And I'm like, sure, I'll talk on Sunday. I can do it. Our practitioners and ministers, we do what we call a creative thought. And it's just a 5-minute talk about how our practices and principles operate for the good in our life. And I'm like, I can put together a 5-minute talk. Us ministers, we can talk for hours. And so, but then he sent me a text saying, okay, I'll send you the talk title. I'm like, the talk title? Why do I need the talk title? And I'm looking at my watch and sending him messages back. And I go, wait a second. He wants me to do the main sermon. Now, I haven't talked in a year, and I've never done a main sermon at our church. So when I had this thought about building my spiritual ministry back, I was thinking little 27-second TikTok videos. But Spirit came down and said, hey, how about a 20 to 25-minute talk in front of a YouTube camera, out to the whole universe that will be there for eternity. Now, it's a lot easier speaking to a room full of people than an empty room with a camera in the back. My initial response was, no, I don't want to do it. I haven't talked in a year. There's no way I want to speak on a camera and go on YouTube for eternity. I don't want to embarrass myself. But I made a commitment to myself. And even though the resistance was going, I said, yes, I'll do it. And I sent him the message back. So that is part of the commitment, stepping up past that resistance. Even though we don't want that resistance, we have to move through it. Sometimes we got to go through that fire to get to the other side. And then So I was driving. The reason I'm here is because my friend Reverend Veronica Silva, I'm sure you met her a couple weeks ago, she came and spoke. We were driving back from Vegas, which just happens to go right past here, and she said, oh, I'm going to speak at Apple Valley in a couple weeks. And I was like, oh wow, that sounds like fun. I wonder if I can do that. And so she's like, she gave me Reverend Karen's email, and here I am. But the last time I spoke in front of a group of, I spoke in front of people without notes, I was looking on YouTube watching your service to kind of get an idea of how it went, and I noticed no one was using notes. I'm like, oh my goodness, they're talking without notes. And last time I talked without notes, it was my very first class in ministerial school. And we had to do a 20-minute sermon, no notes. And it was down at the Redondo Beach Sanctuary. I don't know if you have been there. It's this beautiful, huge sanctuary. So I practiced all week. I knew it. I had it down pat. I knew exactly what I was going to say. And I got in front. There was about 10 to 15 people in the room. And I got up and I started my speech. My sermon was perfect. It was strong. Great opening. Yeah, that's what happened. And my whole sermon was gone. Everything I was going to say out of my head. And I kind of mumbled and I said, Jesus said, and sweet Rachel, who was sitting about where you were, said, what did Jesus say? And I said, I don't know. I don't know. So, he said a lot, but at that point, what I wanted to say, I had no idea what Jesus said. So I went into treatment because I know that God is me, as me, talking through me, and so I kind of said, God, I don't know what I was supposed to say, but you know what I'm supposed to say, so can you please finish this sermon for me? And so I kind of mumbled my way through it, and I finished, I went and I sat down, and the next speaker got up and like tears were streaming down my face. And then after they finished, I ran to the bathroom and I cried, thinking, how am I ever going to be a minister? So that was the last time I got in front of people with notes, without notes, and talked, and here I am. So I really have no fear of talking in front of people. I love talking in front of people. But when we make a commitment, sometimes our past will haunt us. What happens, I mean, that thought went through my head. Like, oh my goodness, I'm going to talk to a group of people who I don't know. What if I forget my sermon? What if I forget what I'm going to say? What if I'm so nervous that the thing is shaking? But past, as we know in our teaching, principle is not set by precedent. So whatever has happened in the past, we can just let it go because it's our thinking, it's our thought process. So whatever happens in the past, whatever our commitment is now, that resistance of, oh, in the past I failed, I couldn't do it, I stumbled and I fell, that's what part of our learning process. That's what makes us stronger. That's what really keeps our commitment going, is knowing that when we fail in the past, to override that. So that's that resistance, that's that situation, that self-talk that can keep us from succeeding. So what is it in your life that you're telling yourself that happened in the past that's stopping you from living your best life? Is there anything that's gone on in your life, a bad marriage, a health crisis, a relationship, a work situation, where you're like, I don't want to go there again because that always happens. That always happens. That's fear. What is fear? Fear is false expectations appearing real. You know what? This has happened before. In my past, this happened. There's true evidence in the past. I know this has happened, but it doesn't have to keep happening. So what do I have to do? How do I step into my courage? How do I release shame? How do I release that bondage that is keeping me small? These are some things that I know from my experience that have led me to step into that unknown. It's that strength and courage to keep moving forward. So, I have a student, Sam. He's 17, 6'3". I've pretty much known him since he was 5. Amazing kid. He's getting his pilot's license. He is in the ROTC at his high school. Just an all-around amazing kid. And in January, I was teaching him, and then on a Wednesday, I was teaching him every Wednesday. And that Friday, he wasn't feeling well. And his mom took him to the hospital. You know, mom's instincts kicked in. And she took him to the hospital where they found out he had leukemia. And this was a very healthy, strong, tall, vibrant boy. And then within a week, he ended up with a back bleed and he was paralyzed. So he went from Wednesday playing tennis to the following Wednesday paralyzed, with the doctor saying he'll probably never walk again. Doctors, well-educated doctors, are telling the family, your child will probably never walk again. Well, I can't even imagine what the family was going through because I was in pure shock. But I know our practices and our principles, that we live in a spiritual universe and we can change our universe, and that our commitment is strong if we let go of resistance and keep our focus, that we can get through anything. And they're a very faithful family, and they went to temple, and they started prayer circles at their temple, and all of us started praying too. And so, you know, things got better and better, and I had lunch with Sam last week, and we walked to his car together. So this was 7 months, and it just shows you that sometimes someone who has more authority than us, someone who knows better than us, someone who's much better educated than us, they might tell us something that we can't do. But we can know that we are spiritual beings and we can change our universe. That's what Walter Starkey says, and it's all God. The plants, the flowers, the fertilizer, it's all God. It's really up to us to change our universe. And so if someone who's a higher authority tells us that we can't do something, but it's our soul's desire, our soul is calling us, and I know this is what I'm supposed to do, that is what, we just have to listen to ourselves. So as Jesus said, greater things than these shall you do. So if Jesus is able to heal a blind man, raise the dead, surely Sam can walk again. So these and greater things shall ye do. So we know that we have the power and the spirit within us to rise above whatever challenges come to us. Letting that resistance go and stepping into our commitment and being committed to what our goals and dreams are. So I have a great, couple great quotes here. We're reading Entering the Castle by Carolyn Mace for my class. And I think I yellow the whole book, underline the whole book, because there's so many great things. Your mind demands a logical reason for surrender and also wants a guarantee that such an act of spiritual alchemy will not lead you to ruin. Reverend Nikki, I'm a really good person. Why did this happen to me? Sam is a really great guy. Why did that happen to him? The family's wonderful. They go to temple. They're a very faithful family. Both of the parents are, hard-working, loving parents. Why would this happen to their child? So when I was having lunch with Sam, I was asking him, why do you think this happened? What lessons did you learn? What are the lessons that you've learned from this? And Sam, in his wisdom, because children who go through such challenges in life really gain a deep inner wisdom. And he said, you know what, Nikki, I used to judge a lot of people, and now I realize that everyone's going through stuff, and it's not for me to judge them. And then I also said to him, well, maybe this wasn't for you. Maybe this was for your parents. Maybe you're here to inspire other kids. Maybe you're just a vehicle through which God is inspiring the world. So I can share this story with you. So maybe you might know someone who is suffering or who has a health challenge, or maybe you have a health challenge. It's knowing that there is a possibility at the end of the road and not to close that door. It's to keep that door open is to surrender, is to allow grace into your life. I love the word grace. It's one of my favorite words in the whole world. Just to live in grace. See how that resonates. Doesn't that just fall when you think, I'm living in grace? It's just this, it just kind of relaxes my shoulders when I think of that word. Carolyn Mace also goes to say, all your fears and all your denials will not change the fact that your life serves the needs of your soul, and your soul's only pursuit is active illumination, not poverty, not chastity, not suffering, not isolation, but conscious active illumination while you are in earth school. Decide you will trust spirit. So here we are at earth school, and we're learning a lot of great lessons. I had a great lesson this week. So I pride myself on keeping all these dishes in the air. I keep them going. I run a great tennis academy. I have my spiritual practice. And I'm also a head coach at a local high school. And while I was working 8 to 10 hours in my private tennis business, I was also coaching 2 high school teams simultaneously. And I did a great job. I did really well. I had this wonderful assistant. He helped me out. We did it well. We made sure no kid was left behind. And it was an amazing season. It was absolutely wonderful. The fact that these kids actually got to play during COVID is just amazing. Our teams, we did okay, but I just really felt it was a great season. I loved it. It was so wonderful. The kids were awesome. And so I went to my final, we always do an exit interview at the end of the season for the AD to comment and tell us what he wants for the next season. So I went into this exit meeting excited for him to say what a great job we did and how wonderful it was and how excited he was for the next season. And he says to me, well, we've decided we're going to move in a different direction and we're letting you go. Well, what? I did a really great job and you're going to let me go? It was kind of like my ego went, ooh, because I did a really great job. It was wonderful. The season was fantastic. So basically, yeah, we're firing you. He didn't say that. And he gave me the reason why he was letting me go, which I don't quite agree with. But what it really was the universe, the spirit saying, hey, Nikki, we have a lot better plans for you. Because that job was very stressful for me, and it was just really, it was hard work. And I tried so hard to make it like perfect, and it never was quite perfect. Like the leadership team and I just didn't quite gel quite right. And so the universe said, hey, Nikki, we're going to give you a gift. We're going to take this plate off the little thing. We're going to put it down here for you. And we're going to let you focus on what your passion is. Because you get to go to Apple Valley and you get to give a sermon and you get to inspire. And this is what you really want to do. Not the paperwork and all the detailed work of running a high school team. And so after my ego rebalanced, and which was actually it took me about 15 minutes because I really realized this is what I really want to do, and I wasn't very happy there. But I wasn't listening to that inner voice telling me I'm not happy there. I just kept complaining with my friends, like, But the truth was I was complaining because my big girl voice wasn't talking. My little girl voice was, I'm not happy. But my big girl voice needed to say, you know what? This isn't the right fit for me. So the universe kind of gave me the cosmic 2x4 because I wasn't listening enough. Have you ever gotten the cosmic 2x4? Yeah, it's a little smack. Okay, I got it, I hear you, I know. So the universe will always, spirit will always lead us in the direction if we listen to that voice. What is our vision? What are we committing to? What is your passion? What makes you happy? If that little voice inside of you is not very happy, or that little girl is crying because it doesn't feel good, stop and do our visioning. Sit down and vision. What do I want in my life? And I love the song that Chris played. Our greatest good will always be handed to us. It might not be right now. We might have to wait because God has no time. God will give it to us when we're ready for it. I keep waiting for that, perfect guy to show up in my life, and God's like, wait, you're not ready yet. He'll be here soon enough. Just keep growing yourself spiritually, and then the right one will show up. Because let me tell you, the ones that I've wanted in the past, I'm very thankful we're not together. So it's really important that in God's timing, all things work out. He takes us through the fire, but he always gets us to the other side. He puts a little fire suit on us and walks us through the fire. Or this the poem about the footprints in the sand, where there's only one set of prints, and that's when I was carrying you. To me, that's really important. So, what is it that you want in your life? How do you want to live your life? Your health. Is someone telling you something that you can't do? Is there something that, like, oh, I want to go on that vacation, but I can't afford it? Or I want that new dress, but oh, it's out of my price range. Or I want to go to that restaurant that's really fancy. Things like that. Live our best life. It's our time now to keep our commitments, let that resistance go, and moving forward into it. I have another little thing from Carolyn Mace. It's Carolyn Mace Day, in case you didn't know. I love you, Ernest Holmes, but we'll just go with Carolyn Mace today. In surrendering to God, you enter a state of consciousness in which you engage fully in your life. You are fearless, full of faith, and possessed by an active, mystical purpose. You live in the present moment. You follow guidance, releasing your expectations of what the outcome would be. We don't have to know the outcome. We just have to follow our passion. I ask for the courage to step out of my own way, to not interfere with your plans so that your grace and love can pour through my actions, words, and deeds this day. Let me see each person as a vital and blessed part of my life. Let each action and thought I have today serve all. So may you go out in your life full of grace, living your full commitments, dropping the resistance, letting your inner child's dreams and passions come up, and go grab a Slurpee.